Meghan Markle was probably not expecting Saturday Night Live to become one of her biggest critics. But that's exactly what's happened over the last few years. And honestly, the latest joke kind of shocked even people who already dislike her. Because calling Meghan an American terrorist on national television, that's not some tiny jab hidden inside a sketch. Colin Jost literally looked straight into the camera, delivered the line, and then they threw Harry and Meghan's photo up on screen while the audience completely lost it. And the crazy part is, nobody at NBC stopped it. That's the thing people keep forgetting here. Weekend Update jokes don't just magically appear 5 seconds before airtime. Those jokes go through writers, producers, legal teams, network approvals, especially when you're talking about royals and celebrities with massive PR connections. So when that line made it to air, that means NBC already knew exactly how audiences would react. And they were right. The clip exploded almost instantly. Sky News Australia picked it up, Daily Mail ran with it, Page 6 talked about it, and royal accounts on X were replaying that 9-second moment over and over again. But honestly, this didn't start in 2026. That's what makes this whole thing way more interesting. SNL has been slowly roasting Meghan and Harry for years now, and if you actually go back and watch the clips in order, you can literally see the audience changing. Back in the beginning, Meghan was treated like the cool American outsider. People liked her. She was the actress walking into this ancient royal institution and shaking things up. The media in America absolutely loved that storyline in 2018. But then, the jokes slowly started changing. One of the first big ones happened right around the royal wedding. Michael Che joked that Meghan Markle married some unemployed dude who still lives with his grandma. And people laughed because, at the time, it felt harmless. Harry was still seen as the goofy prince who didn't really have a real-world job. But looking back now, that joke aged kinda differently after Harry and Meghan left the royal family and started jumping from Spotify deals to Netflix deals to podcasts to documentaries. Then came 2019. And this is where SNL really started leaning into the Meghan versus the royals narrative. They did that fake royal baby sketch where Kate McKinnon played the queen and joked that Meghan's future child was half American, which means half traitor. And honestly, NBC airing that joke back then was wild. Because remember, this was before Oprah. Before Spare, before all the family accusations became global drama. At that point, SNL writers were already treating this marriage like a future disaster waiting to happen. And then the Oprah interview happened in 2021, and everything changed completely. That interview was supposed to reset public opinion in Meghan and Harry's favor, especially in America. For a while it did. But SNL immediately turned parts of that interview into punchlines. Daniel Kaluuya walked on stage and joked, "I'm what the royal family was worried the baby would look like," and the audience exploded laughing. That moment mattered way more than people realize. Because once a serious accusation becomes a mainstream comedy joke, the entire tone around that story changes. Suddenly, people stop treating it carefully. They stop acting nervous around it. And SNL realized audiences were completely willing to laugh at Meghan and Harry now. Then came Spare. And honestly, after Harry released that book, the floodgates fully opened. Because Spare gave comedians endless material. The frostbite stories, the family drama, the interviews, the oversharing. It became impossible for late-night shows not to joke about them. SNL did that whole fake British rap sketch mocking Harry and Meghan, and the audience reaction was insane. You could tell people weren't laughing politely anymore. They genuinely found the Sussexes entertaining as public figures. Not inspirational, not admirable. Entertaining. And once celebrities become entertaining instead of respected, that's when the real spiral usually starts. You could actually see it happen with Meghan and Harry over the last couple years. Every new project started getting mocked before it even came out. The Netflix documentaries got reactions, the podcast got reactions, the Jam brand got reactions. Even normal photos somehow turned into memes. The funniest example might still be that royal family Photoshop scandal from 2023. Remember when the Wales family Christmas card got pulled because people thought the editing looked weird? SNL immediately jumped on it. Colin Jost joked that Meghan Markle offered one of her own fingers to help fix the missing finger in the photo, and then they showed that fake edited Christmas card on screen. That joke went insanely viral because it mixed together two completely different controversies into one punchline. And honestly, that's something SNL has gotten very good at with Meghan. They don't just make one-off jokes. They connect different stories together in a way that slowly shapes how audiences see someone. That's why the hostage joke hit so hard in 2026. Trump announces a UK trade deal, and instead of just making a boring political joke, Colin Jost says Britain's only demand is that America keeps Harry and Meghan. That's brutal because the entire joke is built around the idea that nobody wants them anymore. Not Britain, not America, not even the royal family. And the audience reaction was crazy loud. What really stood out to me, though, was how little backlash there was afterward. A few years ago, Meghan's fan base would have gone nuclear over a joke like that. There would have been trending hashtags, articles accusing SNL of bullying, huge online fights. This time, barely anything stuck. That silence says a lot, because public protection around Meghan Markle has definitely weakened. Even comedians seem way less afraid to say whatever they want now. Bill Burr mocked the Oprah interview. Chris Rock joked about the racism claims. South Park absolutely destroyed the privacy tour image. And now SNL is openly comparing Meghan to a hostage situation and an American terrorist in front of millions of viewers. That would have been unthinkable back in 2018. And here's where things get even messier. Around the same time SNL kept roasting Meghan and Harry, they also started going after Prince Andrew even harder. Some of those jokes were honestly savage. Michael Che joked Andrew could only become prince again if he gets a kiss from a young princess, which made the audience gasp before they started laughing. Then they had that Andrew Island line connected to Trump, and you could literally hear the crowd lose it. SNL basically grouped the Sussexes and Andrew into the same category of damaged royal headlines. Obviously, for very different reasons, but still, that's not exactly the company Harry and Meghan would want to be placed in publicly. And then the UK version of SNL launched. That's when this whole thing crossed into another level completely. Because British comedians roast royals differently than Americans do. American jokes usually focus on celebrity culture and fame. British humor gets personal fast. Dry delivery, uncomfortable punchlines, zero emotional attachment. The UK version immediately started going after Andrew, Harry, Meghan, all of them. And honestly, I think Meghan becoming a target on both sides of the Atlantic is the biggest sign of how much her public image has changed. 8 years ago, she was the fairy tale bride that American media defended nonstop. Now, major comedy shows treat her like recurring material. That doesn't happen overnight. It's years of interviews, documentaries, public statements, family drama, projects that didn't fully land, and audiences slowly getting tired of hearing the same complaints over and over. Fair or unfair, that's what happened. And the weird part is, Harry and Meghan probably still don't fully realize how much comedy shapes public opinion. Because once comedians decide you're funny instead of important, it becomes very hard to reverse that image. Especially when every new headline just feeds the jokes even more. Now here's the part that really stands out when you look at this entire SNL timeline together. The jokes actually tell the story of Meghan and Harry's public image collapsing in real time. You can literally track it year by year. In 2018, the jokes were light, Harry was the goofy prince. Meghan was the American actress entering this old royal world. The audience still liked them. There was curiosity around them, excitement. Even when SNL mocked them, it felt playful. By 2019, the tone shifted a little. Suddenly, Meghan wasn't just the outsider anymore. She became the person breaking royal rules. The Kate Middleton comparisons started getting louder. The tabloid drama kept growing. And SNL picked up on that immediately. That fake royal baby sketch wasn't random. They were already framing the marriage as chaotic before the public fully caught on. Then after Oprah, everything became way more divided. Some people completely supported Meghan and Harry. Others thought they were exaggerating, cashing in, or constantly complaining despite having insane privilege. And once those opinions split down the middle, comedians realized the Sussexes were easy material. Because no matter what side viewers were on, people were still watching. That's why the terrorist joke exploded the way it did. Not because people genuinely think Meghan Markle is dangerous, obviously, but because SNL understood the audience already sees her as disruptive. Somebody who creates drama wherever she goes. That's the real joke underneath it. And honestly, Meghan's own PR strategy probably made things worse. Every time criticism shows up, there's usually another article, another interview, another response, trying to correct the narrative. But at some point, audiences stop caring who's technically right and start reacting emotionally instead. That's deadly for celebrity branding. Once people feel exhausted by you, every joke lands harder. Look at someone like Taylor Swift. Even when people criticize her, she knows when to disappear for a while. Meghan and Harry seem unable to stop explaining themselves publicly, and comedians love that, because the more material you give them, the easier the punchlines become. The irony is kind of crazy too. Harry left the royal family partly because he hated media intrusion and public attacks, but after leaving, they somehow became even bigger targets than before. Except now the criticism isn't just coming from British tabloids. It's coming from Hollywood comedians, streaming audiences, social media, South Park, podcasters, YouTubers, basically everywhere. And SNL, turning them into recurring characters, says a lot. Weekend Update usually focuses on people who are deeply embedded in pop culture conversation. The fact Meghan and Harry keep returning as punchlines means NBC knows audiences instantly understand the references. That's huge. Because relevance and mockery usually exist together in celebrity culture. The opposite of love in Hollywood isn't hate, it's irrelevance. Meghan and Harry are still massively relevant. The problem is that relevance has shifted from admiration to ridicule in a lot of spaces. And the really brutal part, some of the jokes are genuinely funny. That's what makes this difficult for their PR team to fight. If a joke bombs, audiences forget it immediately. But when a joke works, it sticks forever. South Park's worldwide privacy tour became part of internet culture overnight. The hostage joke is already getting replayed everywhere. People still quote the half-traitor line years later. Once comedy clips become memes, they stop belonging to the celebrity entirely. At this point, Meghan and Harry almost feel less like royals and more like reality TV characters people debate online every week. One side thinks they're misunderstood victims. The other side thinks they're privileged celebrities addicted to attention. And somewhere in the middle, SNL figured out there's comedy gold in that tension. But personally, I think the biggest mistake Harry and Meghan made was underestimating American audiences. They probably expected Hollywood and US media to stay permanently supportive. Instead, America treated them the same way it treats every celebrity, eventually. The second people sense hypocrisy, overexposure, or constant self-importance, the jokes start coming fast. And once late-night comedy turns against you consistently, that image becomes incredibly hard to rebuild. Right now, Meghan and Harry are still famous enough to dominate headlines, still famous enough to trend, still famous enough for SNL to keep using them. But the tone around them is completely different now compared to 2018. Back then, they were the fairy tale. In 2026, they're the opening punchline.